Hello and welcome to Charter's Local Edition. I'm Lori Farkas. Thanks for joining us today. We are in Cheyenne, Wyoming at the WAM convention where mayors and city leaders gather, and we're being joined today by Mayor Del McOmie, and you are the City of Lander, the mayor of the City of Lander.
Correct.
Tell me a little bit more about Lander and the beautiful surrounding area.
Well, Lander sits at the base of the Wind River Mountains. You have, about 5 minutes you're in the mountains from Lander, up a paved road to the park, the Sinks Canyon State Park.
And that is gorgeous.
We have a loop road. We're close to the South Pass, Atlantic City gold mine area. That one time they claimed there was almost 10,000 people back in the early or late 1800s in the South Pass area mining gold. That's where my family roots come from. And then many years later, they had the Atlantic City iron ore mine in the close proximity to the gold mines. So it's quite a historic area of Wyoming.
Absolutely. You've had a long history of public service. Tell me a little bit about your past and some of the things you've done and what led you to become the mayor of Lander.
Well, I worked for the Wyoming Department of Highways, WYDOT, for over 39 years. I was mayor of Lander from 1975 to 1987. I left that and then decided to run for the legislature, and I was done legislature from 1999 through 2012. Took a 2-year sabbatical and decided I'd like to be mayor again. So I'm now in my 5th month of my second time around as mayor of Lander.
What has changed from the first time you were mayor to now? What are some of the new issues that you're dealing with?
Most of the issues have not changed that much, except the population growth and the impact we have with our decaying infrastructure in Wyoming as a whole. Because of the boom and bust cycles, it's difficult to deal with all the infrastructure. We have water lines that are 70 years old in Lander. Sewer issues, streets in disrepair have come about, and the people have finally voted in the optional 1-cent sales tax to repair some of the streets that we have to do. Unfortunately, the infrastructure under them is so bad that we have to completely dig the streets up, repair the water, sewer, then go back and redo the streets and a lot of the curbs and gutters, in some places the sidewalks. So they're very expensive to do, and I'm certainly glad the residents of Fremont County decided to finally support the optional 1-cent sales tax.
Yeah, that really does help defray some of those costs.
Yeah, the cities in the county all said that we would spend that money only on bridges and infrastructure, streets and water, sewer, things like that.
Well, one of the things that WAM does so effectively is it lobbies the legislature for some of the funding for the cities and towns. Are you finding that that's being helpful for you and that you're getting enough from the state?
The cities and towns need a uniform voice with the Wyoming legislature. Having been in the legislature, I really recognize how important that is. But it also is very important for individual mayors and council people and people in the community to reach out to their representatives and talk to them about some of the issues with the infrastructure issues and other things of interest that they have that the legislature can deal with. In Wyoming, other than 8 mills that the legislature, that the Constitution says that can be levied by cities and towns, every bit of revenue that they generate is all governed by state statute and through the Appropriations Committee of the state legislature. So cities especially are in total mercy of the Wyoming legislature.
Well, and some of the cities' mayors that we've talked to on the show, they're having some issues. They're having some challenges with finding some new sources of economic diversity. Some of the mayor from Kemmerer was talking about the coal industry and some of the things that he is facing. What kinds of things are you facing in Lander? Do you have similar challenges with some of your industry and that type of economic challenge? Well,
Fremont County is one of the energy-based counties, and at one time, U.S. Steel in about 1984, the U.S. Steel mine closed, and there was over 240 houses for sale in Lander at that time. And so we started working on economic development. We were pretty successful for a while. And then we have a new group of younger people that have formed an economic development group called LEADA, or the other one was called LEADER. And they are now pursuing things such as the high-speed internet, cable, all of those broadbands, things like this, because we're in the middle of the state. We have no interstate highways. We have no railroads. And so it's difficult. So those are the kind of things that we are impacted with in the middle of the state, in the north part of the state, northwest part of the state.
You've got to figure out how to be creative. How are you recruiting businesses to come into the community?
Well, we're trying to develop what we can with the infrastructure that we have a lot of people that have moved to Lander that love to live in Lander. And the reason they love to live there is it's a beautiful place. You're close to the mountains, you're close to Jackson, you're close to Yellowstone, you're every place like that. And they come run international businesses out of their homes. And that's why the cable and the fiber optics are so important to us, to be able to offer all of those kind of services to them at the high speed that they're used to. Yeah. Some of them have had to leave because as their business grew, they just couldn't keep up.
And how is that working for you?
And then we have another thing that's really impacted the whole state of Wyoming, and that's air travel.
For sure.
Right now, the Riverton Airport, we have one flight a day with I can't remember whether it's a 17 or a 9 passenger prop plane out of there. And we used to board 38 to 40,000 people a year. Right now we're down around 5,000 and 6,000 people because of the problems with the pilot situation shortage and things like this. And so Wyoming needs to work at this, and we are working at it. We have a group of people we're trying to get together and put a coalition together that can bring in airlines, guarantee them some money so that if they have a loss, because their boardings are down, that we can help make that up. But it needs to be a statewide effort. The state government needs to get involved in that in a big way.
And does WAM really help you with some of those lobbying issues when you get here and connect with some of those the mayors and the people from the cities across the state? Are you working to get together and create that unified voice?
Yes, WAM is there. The problem we have is that the Wyoming legislature meets 40 days in a general session and 20 days in a budget session. And they have to get all that work done at that time. So you have to be pretty focused on what it is the most important thing you need to work on. You just can't have a lot of different issues or nothing happens. So you have to stay pretty focused.
Back to the beautiful city of Lander. I know that their flooding has been a huge issue this summer for a lot of the areas up north. How has that affected your city, and how are the residents doing with some of those issues?
We have been very, very fortunate this year. We had a little flash flood out of town in one of our rivers, but after that, we had through Lander. We had a terrible flood in 2010. Just wiped out a lot of infrastructure, a lot of things, but that's been repaired. And we have not experienced any flooding. I just got a flash flood warning on my phone, but it was mostly for the Riverton area, through what they call the Big Wind River.
Yeah, the summer certainly presents some unique challenges in Wyoming. Do you have an emergency plan in place for your residents? So
we check the rivers. We check a lot of our problems. We have a lot of big ditches flow through town. At one time, the river went through several different directions through town, and since then it's been more channelized. And every once in a while, the river tries to go back where it used to go. And so we monitor that very closely, and we're trying to work out our new. We've got a new system where we can our sirens actually have voice activation with it. But we've had bugs with that. It's a county-wide operation, and we're working real hard to get that fixed.
Yeah, that's critically important.
Yes.
You've also got a beautiful community convention center in your gorgeous city. Tell us a little bit about that and how that came to be.
Well, shortly after the flood, our old convention center that was built by what they said the CCs way back when burnt down, and Lander was left without the meeting place to where everybody met.
Yeah.
So they got together, formed a committee, and built a very nice, big, huge convention center. The people of Lander and the area actually raised $1.5 million in a short period of time to help fund it. And it's now up and running. There's still a few little bugs in it, but we're doing very, very well with it. It's booked clear into 2016,
wow.
So it's getting much more attention than we thought it would get.
It's beautiful.
Yes.
Well, we're going to encourage people to come on over and check out your beautiful city of Lander. We've been talking to Mayor Del McOmie. He is the mayor of the city of Lander. And you've been watching Local Edition, Charter's Local Edition, and we'll be right back with more after this.
Thank you.